What happens when a beloved soul singer's carefully built image collides with uncomfortable truths live on national television? The answer might surprise you. What unfolded between Teddy Swims and Kelly Clarkson during what was supposed to be an ordinary promotional interview has everyone talking. Before we dive into the explosive moment that left studio audiences in shock and social media in a frenzy, make sure you hit that subscribe button and tell me in the comments what you really think went down. It was just another smooth afternoon on the Kelly Clarkson show. Everything was running perfectly on schedule. Teddy Swims, the Georgia-born singer known for his powerhouse voice and heavily tattooed look, had been booked for a quick 12-minute segment to promote his latest album. What began as lighthearted chatter about his journey in music quickly shifted in a direction no one could have predicted. Kelly, who's famous for her straightforward interview style, decided to dig a little deeper than expected. "So Jate," Kelly began, calling him by his real name with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes, "your rise to fame has been amazing to watch. But there's been a bit of buzz online about your early performances compared to what we hear now. Some fans are saying your voice sounds different. Maybe more produced. What's your take on that?" The question lingered in the air like a trail of smoke. Teddy's easygoing grin wavered just slightly as his fingers adjusted the edge of his trademark beanie. "Well, Kelly," he said with a small laugh, "that's just how an artist evolves, you know? When you're singing in bars and posting covers online, it's not exactly high-quality sound. Of course, the recordings sound different now that I've got access to real studios." "I'm not talking about sound quality," Kelly interrupted, leaning forward a bit. "I mean your actual singing technique. Some vocal coaches online have been analyzing your performances, saying there are inconsistencies, things that make them question the authenticity of your recorded vocals." The atmosphere shifted instantly. The studio audience, who had been buzzing with excitement moments before, could feel the tension building. Teddy's media-trained smile stayed frozen in place, but his posture turned stiff. "I'm not sure what you're suggesting, Kelly," he said carefully. "Are you implying that I can't actually sing?" "I'm not implying anything," Kelly replied smoothly. "I'm giving you a chance to respond to what people are saying. Authenticity matters in this business. Your image is all about being genuine, this soulful guy who came from humble beginnings. But there are whispers in the industry that maybe your story isn't as natural as it seems." The cameras caught every small change in Teddy's face as his jaw tightened. "Industry whispers, huh? That's pretty vague. If people have something to say about me, they can say it directly instead of hiding behind rumors." Kelly stayed calm, but her voice carried a sharper edge. "Fair enough. Let's get specific then. There are claims that your so-called viral rise wasn't as grassroots as you've made it seem. That there was industry support early on, carefully planned moments made to look spontaneous. Talk of social media manipulation, paid promotions disguised as fan love." Teddy's southern drawl thickened as frustration slipped through his composure. "Wow," he said. "So now we're not just questioning my voice, we're questioning my entire career? On live TV? I'm asking the questions your fans deserve answers to," Kelly shot back, her famous temper flickering. "Because I can't stand fake authenticity. The music world is full of illusions, and sometimes the most perfect stories are the ones built on lies." The room grew heavy with tension. The audience shifted uneasily, unsure if they were witnessing an epic meltdown or great television. Teddy's hands, usually expressive, clutched the arms of his chair. "What now, Kelly?" he said quietly, his voice low but captured perfectly by the studio mics. "I came here to talk about music, to share my story. I didn't come here to be ambushed by someone with a personal axe to grind." "Personal agenda?" Kelly's eyebrows lifted. "My only agenda is honesty. I care about real artists, the ones who earn success through hard work, not marketing gimmicks." The words hit hard. Teddy's face turned red under the bright lights. He let out a short laugh that didn't sound amused at all. "That's funny coming from someone whose career started on a reality show," he blurted out, immediately realizing he'd gone too far. The crowd went silent. Kelly's expression froze, then hardened. When she finally spoke, her voice was cold. "At least I earned my spot on that show by singing live in front of millions. No auto-tune, no studio tricks, just me and my voice. Can you say the same about your viral videos?" The air between them felt like it could shatter. Teddy's face drained of color as he realized the depth of the moment. Kelly leaned back slightly, her eyes sharp. "You want to go there?" she said quietly. "Fine, let's talk about reality. When I was on American Idol, every single note was live. No second chances. You either had talent or you didn't. Now, that big viral cover of yours, Stay With Me, the one your team called a one-take miracle. Want to tell everyone how many takes that really was? Because I've heard it wasn't just one." The accusation landed like a punch. Off camera, Teddy's publicist was signaling frantically for the crew to cut to commercial, but neither of them looked away. "You know what your problem is, Kelly?" Teddy said, leaning forward now, anger flashing in his eyes. "You're threatened. You hate that artists like me don't have to beg record labels or reality shows for approval. You can't stand that someone can build a career without playing by your rules." Kelly gave a sharp laugh, but there was no warmth in it. "Oh, please. Nothing about your career has been independent. You've got a full team controlling every move, stylists, coaches, social media managers. Every authentic post you make has been planned. You're as polished as any boy band. You've just packaged it better." The audience gasped. Some people literally covered their mouths. This was no longer an interview. It was a full-blown confrontation. "That's enough," Teddy said, his voice trembling with fury. "I'm not going to sit here and let you destroy everything I've built just to boost your ratings." "Ratings?" Kelly's voice finally rose. "This isn't about ratings. It's about integrity. Do you even know how many true artists get pushed aside because people like you take the spotlight with fake stories and paid followers? True artists?" Teddy barked back, standing so fast his chair nearly tipped. "Lady, I've been singing since I was 5 years old in church choirs. I've played in every small venue from Atlanta to Nashville. I've slept in my car. I've lived off gas station food. Don't you dare question my grind just because I use social media to make it." Kelly stood too, refusing to back down. "Using social media is one thing," she snapped. "Manipulating it is another. And we both know which one you've been doing." The control room was in chaos. Producers were signaling frantically for a break, but neither of them moved. "You want to know what this is really about?" Teddy asked, his tone low and dangerous. "You're bitter. You hate that the industry's changing. You hate that you're not the gatekeeper anymore. And you really hate that a tattooed guy from Georgia doesn't need your approval to make it big." Kelly's eyes flashed. "My approval?" she hissed. "Honey, you couldn't carry my vocals on your best day, even with a studio full of engineers fixing your pitch. Thinking followers equal talent just shows how out of touch your generation is." "There it is," Teddy said, pointing at her. "The real Kelly Clarkson. Not the sweet talk show host everyone loves, but the bitter has-been who can't accept that her era's over." The words hit hard. Kelly's expression softened briefly, hurt flickering in her eyes before anger replaced it. "A has-been?" she repeated. "A has-been with Grammys, platinum records, and decades of success. That kind of has-been?" "All that success," Teddy replied coldly. "And still insecure. Maybe that's why your show's slipping in ratings. People can sense when someone's desperate." That was the final blow. Kelly's composure cracked. "Get out," she said quietly. "What?" Teddy blinked. "I said, get out of my studio. This interview's over. Security can walk you out if needed." The room was silent, except for the faint hum of equipment. Teddy stared at her, then nodded. "Fine, I don't need this show. I built my career without TV, and I'll keep doing it without your help." He started walking away, but stopped halfway. "You know the difference between us, Kelly?" he said, removing his mic. "When people listen to my music, they feel something real. When they listen to yours these days, they remember when you used to matter." Kelly's expression froze. Shock, then pain, then anger. Before she could respond, Teddy dropped the mic onto the chair. "Jade, don't do this," Kelly said suddenly, her voice softer, almost pleading. "We can edit this. Make it work for both of us." But Teddy was already shaking his head. "No, Kelly, you wanted authenticity. This is it. This is me walking away from fake smiles and sharp knives." "Fake?" Kelly whispered. "I've been nothing but honest." "Honest would have been talking to me before the cameras rolled," Teddy said. This is a setup for ratings." For the first time, Kelly looked unsure. "Maybe I came on too strong," she admitted. But the questions still mattered. "Fans deserve truth. My fans already know who I am," Teddy replied firmly. They know I came from nothing and earned everything. I don't need your approval or your platform. Kelly straightened again. I connect with my audience every day through this show. I celebrate real talent. You celebrate people who remind you of yourself, Teddy countered. Anyone who takes a different path suddenly isn't authentic enough for you. Kelly fell silent. For a moment, neither spoke. This is what's wrong with the business, Teddy said finally. Gatekeepers like you think you decide who's real and who's not. But those gates are gone. Artists don't need permission anymore. And that scares you. It doesn't scare me, Kelly said softly, though her voice wavered. It just worries me when talent gets lost under marketing. And who decides what's real? Teddy asked. You? You don't know my story or what I've sacrificed. Kelly looked at him, her anger fading. You're right, she said quietly. I don't know your whole story. I just know what this industry can do to people. I've seen it destroy great artists. Maybe that's your story, Teddy replied gently. But mine's different. Maybe instead of judging, you could try to understand that the world's changed. The set was completely still now. The crew didn't dare move. Kelly finally looked up at him and said, Maybe you're right. Maybe I have judged too quickly. But those questions still needed asking. The questions weren't the issue, Teddy said. It was the way you asked them. It felt like an ambush, not a conversation. Kelly's face flushed slightly. That wasn't my intention. Maybe not, Teddy said, walking off. But intentions don't erase the damage. You tried to tear me down for views. Jate, wait! Kelly called after him, but he didn't turn back until he reached the exit. You know what's really sad, Kelly? He said quietly. We both love music. We both want the same thing, to see real talent thrive. But somewhere along the way, you forgot that tearing people down isn't the way to lift up the industry. With that, Teddy Swims walked out, leaving Kelly Clarkson standing alone in stunned silence. The audience was frozen, the crew speechless. The cameras kept rolling, catching Kelly's face as she tried to process what had just happened before the show finally cut to commercial. What began as a normal interview became a raw and uncomfortable clash about fame, truth, and authenticity. Neither of them walked away unchanged, so what do you think? Was Kelly right to challenge Teddy about authenticity in the music world, or did she go too far by ambushing him live on air? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more behind-the-scenes stories about what really happens when the cameras start rolling.